Hello everybody, welcome to my first video on social media, so bear with me as we go along. I'm Scott Talicki, but for now on I will be Papa Bear during my Appalachian Trail hike, which I will be attempting with my son and hiking partner Blaze, which I will refer to as his trail name, Nature Beast. The first thing I wanted to kind of tell everybody is the audience for this video is my family and friends. People that necessarily don't know a whole lot about hiking and the trail. So I'm going to try to go through some of the information that I've been, a lot of the questions that I've been asked here lately, and try to get some of that information out there so that people are familiar with the trail and how it works, and where I'll be, and how I'm going to stay safe out there. So first to start with, we are attempting an Appalachian Trail through hike, which means we start at one end of the trail and we finish at the other. We are going to be going what they call NOBO, which is northern bound, and we will be starting at the southern terminus, which is Springer Mountain, and we'll be finishing hopefully about four and a half months later at the northern terminus, which is Mount Katahdin in Maine, which is up close to Montreal almost. A couple of stats about the trail. It is 2,197 miles long. That's trail miles. That's not counting any side trails, walking around camp, those kind of things. We go over more than 500 mountains, through 14 states, and it's going to take about 5 million steps. They say 4.5 to 5.5 million steps to get there. The completion rate is only 25% of the people that start. It's actually lower for men than it is for women, but I think me and Nature Beast feel that with our hiking experience that we're going to be in that 25%. Some of the logistics to talk about. We will be carrying everything we need with us in our backpacks. We will be camping in the woods most of the time. There are shelters along the way. They're basically three-sided buildings, no electricity, no water. Those shelters do often have picnic tables, and they do often have privies. So those are some nice amenities that we often camp near there to utilize that. Sometimes they also have steel bear vaults or bear hanging lines that you can hang your food from so the bears can't get to it. We do probably come into town about every 4 to 7 days, just depending on where we are at on the trail and what kind of supplies we need. The reason to come in is for resupply. You can't carry all your food with you, so we normally carry 4 to 7 days food at a time. Food can get very heavy, and as I'll talk about a lot, we try to keep our weight down as much as possible. When we go into town for the resupply, we'll get our food. We'll also take that opportunity to get a nice shower and do laundry, those kind of normal type of things that you can't do out in the middle of the woods. People ask me a lot about water. How do you get your water? How do you carry enough water for 4 days? We don't carry enough water for 4 days. There's water sources along the way, springs and streams and so forth, that we get our water out of. We filter that water so it's safe to drink. And I normally only carry enough water to get to the next water source. Maximum that I could ever carry is 3 liters, and it's very rare that I do that, but there are some times that I would do that. Okay, next I want to get into my gear breakdown. Just a quick go through of what I'll be carrying in my backpack. It's extremely important to keep that pack weight light, because grams turn into pounds on your knees as you get down through the trail. So we're trying to go as light as possible, and it's taken kind of years to fine tune the weight we're at right now. I'm targeting a base weight of around 16 pounds, which base weight means everything that you're carrying minus your food and water. With food and water, I never want to I want to try to stay under 25 pounds fully loaded. Water and food can get very, very heavy itself. So that is a lot of weight to have there. All right, so gear. Usually when you're backpacking, people talk about the big three. And the big three is your backpack, your shelter, and your sleep system. So I'll first show you that. My backpack, I just got a new one. It's a Z-Packs Arcall. It's a 60-liter pack. I used to carry a 48-liter pack that weighed more than that. Just got that. So really first major hike that I'm using. I've used it for some small ones, but I'm sure it's going to do good. It's made out of Dyneema or Cuban fiber, which is very light and very strong. It weighs, with all the accessories on it, it weighs about 25 ounces. Next I come to my tent. My tent is also a Z-Packs Cuban fiber Dyneema tent. No trekking poles for it, it's freestanding. I'm sorry, no tent poles, it's freestanding. I use my trekking poles. So the tent, which is considered a two-man tent, with the poles, is about 25 ounces as well. So both of those are 25 ounces. Now when I get to my sleep system, I'm going to talk about my winter sleep system and my summer sleep system because they will change. In the winter, I'm using a REI Magma 16 sleeping bag. The 16 means it's good down to survival of 16 degrees Fahrenheit. Usually comfort is about 10 degrees above that. So when it starts getting down below, especially 20 degrees, even 25 degrees, it's pretty cold for this sleeping bag. But I do have some other means of protecting against that. The sleeping bag itself is, with the bag that it goes in, is 31 ounces. So it is pretty heavy. My summertime sleeping quilt is only 9.5 ounces. So you can see I'm going to drop a lot of weight there. Now, the thing I talked about in the wintertime, I'm also adding in a silk liner, which I have in here. That's going to add 4 ounces to me. And then I've also got, I get very cold feet, so I've got booties for my feet that are the puffy material, synthetic material that weighs a couple more ounces. So when I get to my summer sleep system, I'll be able to drop almost 27 ounces. Next up is my sleeping pad. It's a Thermarest sleeping pad. It has a 5R rating for insulation. Very good for wintertime use and also very comfortable. It weighs, where's my pad? It weighs 16 ounces. So those are the three big things that everybody talks about. I give you the weights for all those. I'm not going to give you the weights for everything, but kind of quickly to go through everything else. For wintertime, I'll have my wintertime hat. They say that when you pack your fears. My fears are I'm going to get cold. So you see my sleep system. I'm taking actually 3 pair of gloves. One of them is glove liners. Secondly, my bigger pair of gloves. And then the third thing is I've got Gore-Tex shields. So they act as wind shields or rain resistant. They're mittens that would go over that. Basically, I'm going to use those in wet weather to keep my hands dry. I've got my raincoat. It's a Frog Togs raincoat. Very, very low end, very light, but it works good. We talked about water. So I'm using a bee-free water filter. It's a nice system. You can either scoop water or let it drip in it, and then the filter goes on it, and you filter it into your 2-liter bottle. So I've got two liter bottles that I'm taking with me for water. Like I said, probably only going to have one of them full at a time, maybe the other one partially full. Just depends on how far we are between water sources. My stove is a jet boil flash stove. It's a fairly large one for one person, but it's the stove that I have. And you'll probably see Nature Beast has a jet boil, but it's a smaller stove. And at some point I might switch out to the smaller one, but this is the one I have and it works good, so I'm keeping it. A few other things for around camp. Take extra shoes for camp shoes, so you can take your shoes and socks off at camp, air your feet out, but don't have to worry about stepping on anything. I've got the small little butt pad to sit on. It's nice to use, not only to sit on, but as kind of an entry mat to go into your tent to keep trash from going in there. On my mess kit, it's rather simple. I've got two expandable cups. Basically, you'll see some of my food later, but everything we cook is going to be just basically boiling water and putting it in stuff that's dehydrated. So all I have is 2 cups and a spoon, and the spoon's got a cover around it here. On this end, I've got a bag of my electronics, so that would include my charger, my charging cords, some wireless headphones, and a wall charger for when I do get to electricity and get to plug in. I've got a little pack towel, so it folds down real small, very absorbent, but dries quickly. Camp wallet to keep my money and credit cards in. This is kind of my pill bag, so it keeps any medication I gotta take, earplugs, ibuprofen, those kind of things. I keep that in my tent with me at night. I've got some sunglasses for nice days, my med kit, and then this is my kit for using the restroom out in the wild. So basically has some wipes in it and some toilet paper. Got a little shovel. You know, people ask where you use the restroom. We use the privy when we can, and when you're not, basically all the woods is the restroom. You just have to get 100 meters off trail, and you got to dig a hole. So that's what this little shovel's for. I've got a head net, a bug net for my head. That'll probably be resupplied with me later as we get later in the season. It's still early in the season, so I don't need that right now. My trekking poles are Black Diamond Z distance, so they fold up real nice and light. I usually use one at a time, except for in muddy and hard to walk on terrain. I'll use both of them. And then the bags that I have here, this is my clothes bag, so just basically one extra change of clothes. And then over here, this is my bear bag. So this is called an earth sack. It's made out of Kevlar and some other materials that are very strong. It's bear proof. So instead of having to hang it, all we have to do is tie this to a tree, and bears and critters can't get in there. I've got a headlight, very small but very bright and has long battery life. And then just a small little pocket knife. At the very beginning, I am going to wear some little braces on my knee. And then I've got my hat. And then probably one of the most important things to take is my puffy jacket. That's useful on cold nights as well as cold days around. So I'm going to pause for a minute, and then I'll show you kind of a packing of the pack, and then we'll weigh things and let you know what. Okay, now we'll show you how I pack my backpack. And the first thing a lot of times depends on whether it's raining out when I'm packing or not. But I'm going to show you how I like to do it. Actually, always my med kit goes in the bottom, it just kind of floats down there. The first thing I like to put in there is my tent at the bottom, but if it's raining when we wake up in the morning, I'll end up putting that in last, and then at lunchtime probably reorganizing things because you want to stay dry for the last minute. But after the tent, then goes my backpack, so the bigger stuff and heavier and bigger stuff is at the bottom. Next is going to go my camp stove, along with my mat and my silk liner, my booties. Going to kind of jam that stuff in there. I'll go with my clothes next. I try to get them at a point where if there is something I think I might need out of there, a mid layer or something, I might pull that out and put it at the top. I took all my accessories and put them in one bag so that if I need to find something, I just grab that. Otherwise, things tend to get lost. I'll do my electronics next, and then I'll go with my food bag. My food bag, usually what I do is I pull out my lunch and my snacks and get that stuff in some of the side pockets. So I've got easy access to it and don't have to dig down too far to get my lunch items. This up here. All right, as I keep moving down, I've next got my gloves, my hat, that type of winter wear, easy access at the top, as well as putting in my jacket at the top for easy access. So that is everything that goes inside of the pack. Once I've got that in there, I kind of push it down, and this is a roll top type pack. So I just squish it down, roll it up. Again, this is Dyneema material. It's weatherproof as well, so I don't need a pack cover for it. So I've got everything in there. At the top, I put my butt pad there and strap that in place. And then I've got pockets on the outside. In the mesh pocket here is going to go my rain jacket, as well as my camp shoes. Oh, you know what? I forgot something. My filter. So I'm going to put that in one of my front pockets, my chest straps. I've got two of them. So this will go on one side in there, and I will put one of my bottles of water here. The second bottle of water will go on the opposite side pocket here. And then on this side pocket, I've got my toiletry kit and my shovel. You know, the shovel is used for digging cat holes out on the trail. All you have to do is get 100 yards off of 100 feet off the trail, and just about the whole outdoors is your bathroom then. If I'm not hiking with my poles and I'm carrying them, I usually put them in this side pocket. So put them down like that. And then I've got what's left is my pocket knife and my headlight. I'll put that in the side pocket. And like I said, any snacks will go in there as well. So that's how I pack it. I am going to weigh the base weight and the full pack weight, and I will let you know how that turns out. All right, I got my base weight and my pack weight. So I came in at a base weight of 15 pounds. I was shooting for 16, so I feel really good about that. And remember, the base weight is everything, your pack and everything in it, minus any food or water. When I added my food in for my first carry, as well as 2 liters of water, I was up to 25 pounds. So that added 10 pounds to it. So you could see how it almost doubled the weight of my pack by adding food and water. So that's an important part of it, being very careful on how much food and water you carry. And that's why I was saying I only carry water from source to source. I also weighed myself, so I'm going to keep track of my weight along the way. I was 155 to start out. Let's see what I end up at. If there's any bets out there of how much weight I'll lose on the trail, go ahead and put them in the comments. I also wanted to say, if there's any questions you had along the way that I didn't explain something well, put it in the comments, and I'll try to reply to it when I can. Last of all, I just want to thank a bunch of people for making this happen. First of all, praise God for making it possible. Secondly, I got to thank my wife, Amy. She's been amazing through this and will continue to support us over the next several months, which isn't going to be an easy job. I want to thank my hiking partners that have helped get me to this point. The Kentucky Gas Boys, Night Sloth, Dynamite, Jacoti, and also Kitty Paws. And then want to thank my employer, Globe Electric, for allowing me the time off to do this. So next in line is is driving down to Georgia and going to Amicaloa Falls, which is where the check-in is to start our northbound hike from the southern terminus. We will start at the iconic arches of Amicaloa Falls, and there's an 8.5 mile approach trail, which isn't part of the Appalachian Trail, that takes you up to Springer Mountain. Once you get to Springer Mountain, then you're officially on the Appalachian Trail. So we'll be doing that tomorrow, and I will do some check-ins from there. Thanks.